Breaking news. Please stand by for another C2C World News Now current event. Hello, today is Saturday, and this is the 8th day of October 2016.
Minnesota mall terrorist was newly interested in Islam. He used steak knives during his attack, FBI says. One man, only now, known as an Islamic terrorist, who wounded 10 people during a September attack at a Minnesota mall, used a pair of steak knives to stab his victims in the head, neck, and chest. All this while frantic shoppers hid and workers struggled to close store gates, the FBI revealed during a Thursday news conference. Although, while the news media at the time, covering the deadly attack live on air, was directed by stories from law enforcement, all reports and official news briefings, at the time of the attack, as well as after, continue to indicate that this was not an act of terror, and that all reported witness statements of the man yelling out Allah Akbar and asking people what religion they were before attacking them were incorrect.
The suspect was a recent college student with only a minor traffic citation on his record. Mike Tobin is live in St. Cloud, Minnesota with more. Mike?
Hi, Jen. And Somali community leaders now say that the Somalis who fled civil war and famine to end up here are apprehensive. They're concerned about their own safety. Haji Yusuf tells me that trucks with Confederate flags have been driving through the Somali neighborhoods, that people are being verbally harassed. They're being told to get out or leave. The family of the now deceased attacker, Dahir Adan, has been out of the public eye, but they did send a family spokesman, a lawyer, to make a statement on their behalf. They say that they are overwhelmed with sorrow over this incomprehensible attack, and they express sympathy for the 10 people who were injured in the knife attack.
We urge citizens of St. Cloud and of this state to stay united and let the law enforcement agencies gather the facts and do their work.
Now, the motivation of Dahir Adan remains a mystery. He was in the U.S. longer than he lived anywhere. He was assimilated. He cared more about sports than he did religion. He was an honor student in school when he was in high school. The last thing he communicated to his family is that he was on his way to the mall to buy an iPhone 7. Local Somalis want to know if there indeed was a connection to ISIS. Law enforcement says they can't find one, but if it exists, the local Somalis say they want it to be dealt with and dealt with appropriately. Jenna?
The story as we get it, Mike. Thank you very much.
Dahir Ahmed Adan, 20, was shot and killed by an off-duty police officer who had been shopping at a Bath and Body Works as the September 17th incident unfolded.
One of their, quote, soldiers carried out a stabbing attack at a shopping mall in the U.S. state of Minnesota overnight. The attack left at least 8 people wounded. The attacker was shot by police at the scene. Police haven't so far been investigating the attacker's terrorism, but the attacker is said to have been wearing a private security company uniform. Witnesses reported before the attack that the man made a reference to Allah and asked at least one person if they were Muslim. The Minnesota stabbing, a man walks into a shopping mall, he mentions Allah, he gets a knife, and he stabs some people. Can I just ask you, so any man feeling mentally unwell can go to the kitchen, grab a knife, go to a shopping mall, mention Allah, stab some people, and then claim allegiance to ISIS? The media goes mental, and then ISIS says he's one of ours. It's almost like the media is also partially to blame for almost doing the PR job for ISIS.
Well, yeah, there's been a lot of that kind of attribution, I think, in the past over the years. But the one thing that I think that we have to remember about the attack in Minnesota is the simple reference that this man made to Allah is no more an indication that this was an IS attack than the fact that there was a bomb that went off in New York City. And so I think that until we have more concrete evidence to really point to the motivations and the associations behind these types of attacks, we need to deal with them rather tentatively, if you will.
I want, first of all, to say, on behalf of everyone, we strongly condemn what happened last night. That does not represent any religion. It does not represent any group. It does not represent, no matter what, there is no justification to give or to excuse or reason to give about what happened last night. That is not what this community is. That's not who we are as a community, living among many other communities that makes the fabric of this community stronger every day.
Video footage released by the FBI and tweeted out by a Minneapolis Star-Tribune reporter, however, not shown or indicated to the public at the time or until now, showed Aydin's final moments, the extremist crawling in a pool of blood, still armed with a knife, toward Officer Jason Falconer. Aydin, armed with a knife in each hand, previously had charged Falconer twice. Falconer's shooting was deemed justified, and he will not be charged, officials said. "We are very grateful that an off-duty police officer was in the mall that night," St. Cloud Mayor Dave Clay said. Authorities believe Aydin had been radicalized recently. They said he had flunked out of school and lost interest in his typical hobbies before turning more deeply to Islam. The FBI was trying to unlock Aydin's phone and was still working to figure out if he self-radicalized or was radicalized by others. "We were told he had not previously shown an interest in religion," FBI Special Agent Rick Thornton said. Aydin yelled Islamist phrases during the attack, and at one point, approached Falconer and asked him if he were Muslim, investigators said. That encounter preceded the foot chase and shooting that ended in Aydin's death. "We have numerous credible witness accounts of him asking victims during the attack if they were Muslim, and at least one instance yelling, 'Allahu Akbar,' while stabbing one of his victims, and others heard him yelling, 'Islam, Islam,' during the attack," Thornton said. Falconer ultimately fired 10 shots, hitting Aydin 6 times. After killing Aydin, Falconer showed his police badge to horrified shoppers, who were unsure of what was unfolding in front of them. While driving to the mall, Aydin struck a cyclist, who rolled across the car's hood. Aydin did not stop, and later ran a red light en route to his planned attack. FBI Director James Comey said last week it appeared Aydin was at least partly inspired by extremist ideology. When the attacks happened, the Islamic State-run news agency claimed Aydin was a soldier of the Islamic State who had heeded the group's calls for attacks in countries that are part of a U.S.-led anti-ISIS coalition. It wasn't immediately known whether the extremist group had planned the attack or knew about it beforehand.
This has been a C2C World News Now current event. Stay safe, everyone.